Welcome to a special episode of So-and-So brought to you by Bernina, Made to Create. I'm Meg Goodman, and you're about to join us for an exclusive and behind-the-scenes experience at C2E2 2023 in Chicago. The Chicago Comic and Entertainment Expo, or C2E2, is a Chicago fan convention dedicated to comics, pop culture, graphic novels, anime, video games, toys, movies, and television. The inaugural event was held in April of 2010 at McCormick Place in Chicago. Now celebrating its 13th year, this event is a place for self-proclaimed geeks, nerds, and introverts to connect and fit in. We had full access to attendees, vendors, fabricators, and even some well-known authors and cosplayers. Join us now as we experience C2E2 2023.
Tell us about your costume.
I'm wearing a Doctor Strange costume that I got super cheap on Marketplace, but I just altered some parts of it, sewed some gauntlets and stuff, but yeah.
Why is it important to you to be at this show?
I've never been to C2E2. I've wanted to for years. I go to Planet Comic-Con every year in Kansas City, and I'm just a cosplayer, so it's nice to get out and see other cons and what their cosplay scene is like.
Why is the cosplay community important?
Oh, to me, well, I'm like a maker and an introvert, and making cosplay and then wearing it has really helped me to not be nervous to get out into the world and be in front of people, which is weird because normally people don't wear costumes out in the world. But so now I'm into I do charity cosplay. I'm in a group called the Just Us League where we do hospital visits and all that. So I'm their Spider-Man, but I'm also Strange and Nightcrawler for them. So. Now,
I did see some pictures of some costumes that you did make, and where can people go to find some of your creations?
Oh, I have an Instagram called Broken Cannon Cosplay, and that's where I post things as I make them. It's not horribly active, but now that con season has started up, it'll be a lot more so, because, you get ready for a con a month before, so you kind of crunch and make stupid decisions to build whole costumes. That's what you do.
So I am wearing some self-designed Yu-Gi-Oh! Armor. I basically used a foam base, an EVA foam base, painted it black, and then used patterns to make armor and cover them in Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards.
Madison, is this your first time at C2E2?
It is not. My first time was actually 2020.
And why is it important to you to come to this show?
I actually get to run into a lot of friends here. The friend I was with a second ago, she's from my hometown in Ohio. I have a friend coming in a little bit who's in New York that I went to college with, so it's a good chance to meet up with a lot of people. There are Instagram mutuals and other cosplayers that I've been following and admire for a long time, and I get to see them in person, and we get to talk shop and stuff like that. And also, it's a really good chance to break from work and go and spend some money. Retail therapy.
What's your favorite part of the show?
The exhibit hall, definitely. Like I said, it's really fun to come and buy some stuff. I don't really get to treat myself very often, so this is when I get to let loose.
Both Chris and Madison are indicative of the creativity that attendees have put into their costumes. It's amazing to experience the variety of what they wear and the passion of their preparation.
I'm dressed up as my character from Star Wars. Her name's Empress Balthea. She's my own creation. I do a lot of my character on TikTok, so that's who I'm dressed up today as.
And how about you?
I am the ex-Imperial Kelkelbi Talgus. I'm just kind of wearing my mercenary garb right now and hoping to get some credits.
You guys look awesome. Tell us why you like coming to this event.
Well, I've always been a huge, nerd, I guess would be the saying of it. I enjoy the culture, the fan culture. I enjoy being around like-minded people like myself. I enjoy seeing the different art, the different things you can buy, the people that you can meet, different cosplayers, getting different ideas. I'm also a prop fabricator, so I like coming and meeting different cosplayers and getting ideas from them and seeing their techniques as well, and trying and seeing different ideas so I can use them for my techniques as well. It's
It's a good place to learn that. Jake, how about you?
Well, this is my first con, actually, so I thoroughly enjoy it because I get to meet up with like-minded people like me, people who love Star Wars, anime, whatever your fandom is, and to me, it's a feeling of fitting in. Having grown up kind of not really fitting into different crowds, it's nice.
While Angelica and Jake went one direction with their costumes, Buddy and Eric from Michigan took a different gender-bending approach. It's not just about cosplay for them, it's about their community of friends.
So tell us about what you're wearing.
I'm just a gender-bent evil queen from Snow White, Disney. That's about it, I guess.
And tell us about your costume.
I'm doing Cinderella's stepmother, Lady Tremaine, also gender bent. So yeah, we're the Disney Wicked stepmothers today.
Why do you like the show?
I have so many friends that come every year, and I only see once a year. For me, I love doing the cosplay, but for me, it's really about hanging out with my friends actually at the hotel lobby in the middle of the night. So,
what about you?
I'm a big all-around geek, so I started with comics, and then I brought him and got the cosplay bug on him, and then I caught it, so I can't do anything though, so I have some amazing friends, Buddy and our friend Michael, who put everything together for me, and so I can look awesome, and it's a lot of fun.
And for Taylin and her dad Omar, it's all about the experience and cool stuff.
I'm here because I love anime, so I just wanted to come here, and some of my friends are all the way, so we can all spend time together. Yeah.
How about you?
I'm here with her escort, but I like anime and Marvel and cartoons also, so yeah. This is my first time.
Your first time. So what are you looking forward to today?
Seeing her happy.
Everything, really. There's like so much stuff to do. I don't have anything specific. Well, we do have something specific, but like not right now that I want to do.
And what's that?
It's this thing called Pop Asia. I want to go to there because it seems cool. Have a lot of cool stuff.
A community of diverse individuals who gather to share their love for fandom and cosplay. You never really know the entirety of the community or someone's story.
I think the most important thing to know about the cosplay community is that we are just like you. You know, I have a 9-to-5 job. I walk my dog, I get my groceries, I do the exact same thing as you. You know, we're not nerds who live in our mother's basements. We have kids, we have families, we have jobs, we have pets. You don't even know who a cosplayer is until you actually see them in costume. You can just be passing by one and not even realize it.
So I work doing alterations for Nordstrom, and so yeah, just like making sure that people's clothes fit them better and that they're happy with them, which I really like because, you know, it's a lot more sustainable to alter clothes that you have into something that you are happy with instead of, you know, throwing them away. So I really like it, yeah.
Zita Bartles has parlayed her sewist skills into both a career and a hobby in creating historical clothing with an interesting start.
Yeah, my freshman year of college, I took a sign language class, and the final project of that was that we had to sign a song, and I got stuck with another theater kid, and I was like, oh, we're doing Phantom of the Opera, and I went, I'm going to make my costume. I did not own a sewing machine at the time, so I stitched the whole dress by hand, and that kind of started, you know, historical costuming, and then I was like, also cosplay is fun, so I'm getting more into that now. So that's, I make historical clothes using historical methods, so if I'm doing anything in the style of anything that's like pre-like 1850s. That means the entire garment is stitched by hand. A sewing machine never touches it. And after that, you know, I get away with, I do have an antique machine that I'll use if I want to do things as close to historically accurate isn't really a term that's usually used because like entire historical accuracy isn't really possible. But like historical adequacy, so like as close to historical as you can get, and just so studying historical silhouettes and making historical clothes. Yeah, well, I think that there's definitely within the cosplay community, there's a lot of people who are really enthusiastic about sewing, and so, you know, historical costuming tends to bleed a lot into it, especially like in the overlap with like period dramas and things like that. I know that the Outlander community really likes cosplaying and historical costuming. And so yeah, there's a little bit of an overlap. In terms of like how I make things, it varies a little bit. Cosplay is kind of a little bit more like, this needs to be functional, whereas historical, it's like I need to be like very meticulous and specific with exactly how I want things to be. Whereas cosplays is like, yeah, that works, looks good, it'll work for a con.
As in all of the events we visited, we're honored to spend time with nonprofits. C2E2 is no exception, as Diana Shu tells us about ExtraLife.
Today I'm here with ExtraLife Chicago. ExtraLife is a national program of the Children's Miracle Network hospitals, and we are a group of gamers nationally that play games to heal kids at the hospitals. So you're able to sign up for your own fundraising page on extra.life.org, and then you can, or extra-life.org, and then you can have your own fundraising page. Every year we do a game day where people play games for 24 hours straight and ask their family and friends for donations. All the donations go back to the hospital that you're local to. So today we're here with Lurie Children's Hospital. We have a couple of raffles going on, donations, prizes, and things like that. But it's just a really great organization with a really great mission too.
Sounds amazing. People can have fun, love doing what they're doing.
Exactly. I mean, the way that I got into it was that I was a gamer first, and then I found out I can turn gaming into something even better and help our community as well. So,
who are some of the other organizations that you all work with?
We mostly partner with Lurie Children's in Chicago, but depending on where you are geographically, you can fundraise for any of the Children's Miracle Network hospitals around the nation. So we have a little bit of more information in this book here too. Yeah.
And if people want to find out more about your organization, how can they find you?
Yeah, for ExtraLife Chicago specifically, we have some social media pages. So ExtraLife Chicago group on Facebook, Discord. But nationally, it would be going to the ExtraLife website, which is extra-life.org.
Hello, Sewing Bees. It's Sue Very Pruitt from Suki Sews. You know that dream studio you have in your head with every machine, notion, and accessory you want? We've all got one, and I just designed mine at BerninaSweepstakes.com. And you can design your own too, and then win it. I just had to have space for all my machines, the ones I already owned and the ones I wanted to add to my studio. Make sure you're in it to win Bernina's Dream Studio $100,000 giveaway. Design your own dream studio at BerninaSweepstakes.com. Dream it, design it, win it.
Desi DeSue was a guest on this podcast, and we caught up with her in the Burnett booth and talked about what she's been up to.
You've been on this podcast last year in 2022. It's so good to see you.
Hi, it's so good to be here with everybody. How are you?
Wonderful. Desi, what have you been up to since we talked to you for the podcast?
Well, last weekend I was at GalaxyCon vending for my first time at Artist Alley there. I'm also an illustrator as well as making cosplay costumes, so I did that. The previous month I was at KatsuCon, which is a con geared more towards anime, and I cosplayed there over the weekend and debuted my Ganyu costume, which is actually on display at the Burnett booth this weekend. This is actually my first time attending C2E2. It's very important to me because of the Crown Cosplay Championship, which I'm looking forward to hopefully watching this evening. Every year there's just an outpour of very inspiring cosplays on display at that show. One of the contestants is actually an international one from Spain. She actually came to the booth yesterday to come meet me, which was very sweet and very touching, because even though we don't share the same language, she fortunately had a translator with her, so we were still able to converse, and just cosplayers all feel the same sort of enthusiasm and feeling and able to connect with one another.
That's been a common theme with everybody that we've talked to. What do people need to know about cosplay?
Cosplay is really what you want to get out of it. It's definitely a social activity. It can be an artistry if you're really into art and you want to push it more to that direction. You can compete in cosplay. You can just hang out at a con and cosplay. Whatever way you want to cosplay is perfectly valid.
And what can we look forward to coming from you next?
Oh, I'm currently working on the Disney designer doll for Cinderella, the design that was released last year in 2022. It's going to be my first time making pants, so wish me luck. I'm currently working on the bodice, and my new Bernina 535E has been very helpful with that. So look forward to more posts on that in the future.
While in the Burnett booth, we also visited with Maggie Urso, Senior Social Media Specialist at Bernina of America. For her personally, this was not her first C2E2 experience. She shared her personal impressions of the show, explained the importance of Burnett being a vendor, and told us why the cosplay community means so much to so many.
It's very much like all of us that are here today, even if we don't create cosplays, we are in some way, shape, or form immersed into this community. Myself personally, I'm a big comic book fan, and I'm wearing a Harley Quinn shirt today. I know one of my coworkers is a big Harry Potter fan and very much into the Harry Potter fandom. We also have, including myself, big Pokemon fans, and we play like Pokemon Go, and we like to collect all of the different little Pokemon things that you can get. Great example, Selena's wearing Pokemon shoes today. So we just very much, like I said, if we don't make the cosplays, we are very much into the community. And especially when it comes to shows like this and C2E2, Dragon Con, everyone is so friendly. Everyone is so nice. And it's just a great environment to be in. All the vibes are very good. I feel like that feels a little goofy to say, but when I say good vibes only, that's what you get here at C2E2. Everyone just loves the creative aspect of it. And even if you're not a cosplayer, if you're walking around, there's a ton of prints that you can see. There's comic book artists around here, just a lot of artists in general. The bearded artist, is actually the booth behind us. So it's, cosplay is another way to show off your skills and your talent. But one of the things that we really want to drive home is, even if you've never sewed before, that doesn't mean you can't be a sewist. Anyone can be a sewist. Get a beginner machine. With the We All Sew blog, there's a lot of beginner tutorials that you can check out. And the community helps each other. Put questions out on the internet and people will answer your questions. They'll help you figure out what you need to do to make what you are dreaming of.
On the subject of sewing, we met Tori Artman, who together with her husband built a business called Sew Quiltable. They make quilts for the cosplay community.
So, yes, my husband and I work together with our business, and I loved to quilt. I've been quilting for 30 years, and we decided we wanted to be different from everybody else, so we went down the pop culture area. We work with different artists, and we just have so much fun watching people get excited about how different our quilts are and bringing back a hobby that most people haven't been doing for a while. So we just have so much fun with it. This is our first year at C2E2, and we're so excited to be here. So my grandmother quilted, and my first quilt that I did was hand quilting with her when I was 18 years old. And over the years, I've been doing the quilting. I decided that we wanted to do it as a business. So we, 3 years ago, jumped into it and just started doing it more for selling at this kind of thing, doing memory quilts for people and special orders for people.
Your work is beautiful. What inspires the designs that you do?
The designs, a lot of them are inspired by the panels that we use and by the artwork on the panels. Because we work with 7 different artists and get original artwork, we try to gear the designs around what the panels speak to us. And then all of my quilting I specifically do with the panels. If it has to deal with Batman or anything like that, we try to put bat wings on them and stuff. Spider-Man, we put spider webs on them. So yeah, we just try to let the fabric speak to us, as most people say.
Artist Alley is a creative spot in C2E2 where attendees can get up close and personal with talented artists and creators. We met local artists, saw some of the biggest names in the world of comics and graphic literature, and watched as creators worked their artistic magic. While in this amazing section, we sat down with Art Baltazar, cartoonist, children's book illustrator, and character designer. From Chicago, He began his career in 1994, and since then has created dozens of comics, most famously Tiny Titans. He's worked with Disney, been on the New York Times bestseller list, and has won numerous awards.
Yeah, I'm a famous cartoonist. I've been drawing comics for like 30 years, maybe more, 31, 32 years. And I worked with DC Comics, drawing Tiny Titans and Super Pets, and I work with Itty Bitty Hellboy with Dark Horse. But I make my own comics too. I have a few comic shops called All Yeah Comics, and we publish a book called All Yeah Comics, and our publishing's called All Yeah Comics. And just this year, I started printing my own books every month. Starting in January, I'm doing a book a month. So I have a lot of new books here. Patrick the Wolf Boy, Webster the Spider Monkey, Meteor Mite, Action Cat, all kinds of cool stuff. So I've been drawing all the time, every day, never leaving the house.
Art, how did you get started doing this?
Oh, man, when I was like in 5th grade, I started creating my own characters. I ran out of characters to draw in my little notebook, and I started creating my own guys. And then that's what I always wanted to do since I'm like in 5th grade. And then when I was in high school, I started making my own comics where you fold the paper and staple it and just start drawing. Then I went to college and learned did more stuff there. And then when I graduated college, I had to figure out how to self-publish. So I went to all these shows showing my portfolio, and everybody told me to go back to school because I couldn't draw, or I was too cartoony. And then I'm like, man, I'm just gonna make my own book. So I did, and that's what I've been doing since 1992. I've been making my own books.
Why is the cosplay community important to you?
Why is it important? I love it. It's people's love for the characters. That's what I like. Their passion and love for the characters, especially when they're dressed like a character and they act like the character. Like I saw a lot of that pirate, that Johnny Depp pirate. I love when guys dress like that walk around and they're actually in character. And Darth Vader tries to choke you. I love that stuff. So I love cosplay. I like dressing up myself, but people ask me who I'm dressed as, and I always say famous cartoonist. You know, I think I look like Dr. Who, but because I wear the hats and the ties and the pins and stuff. Yeah.
Why is being at C2E2 important to you?
Oh man, this is my hometown show. I'm from Chicago. I've been there at C2E2 since the beginning, since they first started. And I've been doing shows since the early 90s. And every show evolves, and this has become the biggest Chicago show of all time. And it's so important to me. This is the most successful show I have all year. I fly to San Diego, I fly to New York, I go all over the country. But this one is the most. And I live here, so I get to load my van with as much stuff as possible, and I drive my van right to the table and we unload. So it's real cool. I don't have to get on a plane, and I could just, stay home. I still got a hotel room because then I could just go to sleep 10 minutes away instead of an hour away. But this place it feels home. It's like in my backyard. If I don't come here, something's wrong with me, I don't know what's happening. I need to be here.
Not all attendees at C2E2 are in costume. Some simply show up to experience the event, and some build some pretty amazing things. Adam Catt is one of those people whose love for cosplay has transcended many facets, from sewing to fabrication, and now even includes his family.
This is about my 6th year coming to C2E2, and the thing that I have built and makes noise and moves is an astromech like R2-D2. So, and that's something I built about 6 years ago, specifically to bring to things like this so that, the kids and the adults alike can enjoy it.
How did you get started in cosplay?
That is a good question. I've always been a bit of a nerd and a geek, and I have a wife that supported some of the ideas that we had and became interested in some of the fandoms. And one of the biggest ways to participate in these fandoms is to dress up as the characters. So it started with that. Also have now a 13-year-old who is huge into it, which has kind of pushed my boundaries of what I can do. From where I focused on hard items, like printed items or things fabricated from metal or plastic, to I've started sewing a lot more, even going so far as sewing my daughter's current costume.
So let's talk about sewing. I've heard you say before that you've had to take patterns and amend them and really work on them. Tell me what it's like to make a pattern, what the process is that you go through, and how you choose what you're going to do.
I've done it once, twice if you break the two pieces of clothing up. The process, I'm somebody who does a lot of research. I don't jump into things blindly. So did a lot of research, both web searches and YouTube searches, and found some of the cosplayers that I have followed in the past who have talked about this. And basically start with a pattern that has the right shape that you're going for. And then previously I guess this wasn't the first time. Previously what I'd done is I would make a mock-up, draw out what I wanted to do, cut that apart and build the patterns from that. This time what I did is I actually duplicated the existing pattern, drew on the changes, broke that up into actual pattern pieces, cut the fabric out of that, and then sewed it together. For me, it went fairly easily. I have a history of sewing. I was a home ec guy in junior high, so.
Jedi Manda was a powerful presence at this year's event. Featured in the Burnett booth, she drew crowds who wanted to learn of her work and get autographed copies of her new book. She spent time with us talking about the event, what she loves about it, explains the contests, and shares a story of a special impression made on her by a young fan.
Hi, C2E2. We're in Chicago, and we get to meet you in person and talk to you about you and cosplay and all kinds of fun stuff.
Yeah, it's great to see you. Great to meet you in IRL at literally my favorite convention. This is my 10th year, my 10th C2E2. Yeah.
Why is it your favorite?
Because I like Chicago. It's not a bad drive from where I'm from Louisville, Kentucky. So it's not a bad drive. I'm very used to the town. It's also just a really good convention for all types of fandom. And so I do a lot of mainstream. So like the stuff I do a lot is Game of Thrones, it's Star Wars, it's Marvel. And a lot of people recognize it here. And that makes me feel really good when my outfits get recognized. And so I like to go to those conventions that they'll do well at, like this one.
So we're at C2E2, and you have a beautiful costume.
Thank you.
You've gotten, as we've walked the halls, you've gotten many wonderful remarks.
Just happy people know it.
Tell us about it.
Sure. So I am wearing right now a fresh, and I mean fresh, this is the first time I've worn everything together. This is Rhaenyra Targaryen from the new HBO show House of the Dragon, which is a prequel for Game of Thrones, if people are familiar with that. It's a black and white gown. It's got very heavy beading. The beads, there's gold beads, there's red beads, there's black beads, silver, but it's all very harsh angles. My shoulders are pointed. I have a break in the front where that's red fabric coming through. And so it's kind of, it's a very harsh dress because Rhaenyra is a little harsh, and her character is a dragon rider, and so there's dragons embroidered on the front. If you're familiar with the show, she wears it in episode 8 and 10. It's like the black gown she wears at the end. So, and I fell in love with that. I'm a huge fan of Game of Thrones, and so I knew when the show came out, I was like, well, I know what I'm going to be cosplaying for the next 2, 3, 4 years is from that show. So, and I'm a huge Targaryen dragon stan. So I was like, yep, this is what I'm doing. And I found it, and that's what I'm wearing.
All right, cosplay. How did you first discover cosplay and how it became important to you?
So I discovered it by just going to my first convention. When I started cosplaying was kind of the beginning of the accelerations of conventions in general. So we've always had Comic Cons. We've always had comic book conventions since honestly, even back into the 20s, science fiction conventions have always been around. But it wasn't until, it's always been kind of an underground thing, and cosplay's always been a part of that, but it wasn't huge into the mainstream until I'd say the mid to late aughts was when a lot of film and TV was really starting to gain followings, and those followings and those people went to conventions, and they just grew from that. And from that time was when conventions started being in hometowns. So I had our first Derby City Comic Con came to Louisville in 2012. And it was the first year, it was the first con. I've always known about San Diego Comic Con, New York, the big ones, but I didn't travel to them. So I decided to just go. I'm a huge Star Wars fan, so I just wore a Star Wars skirt, And I remember going and being like, people are in costume. This is a thing. Why do I not know about this? Why am I not doing it? And then the next year I made myself and 2 of my friends outfits from Mortal Kombat, the video game. And we all were Mortal Kombat characters. And then from there, it's where it started. all because I stumbled upon it and thought I was severely underdressed.
Underdressed,
Yes.
and you knew how to sew. So
yeah,
you could,
yeah. And I was like, why am I not doing this? What am I just make a skirt? No. I got to do something else.
And for people who are coming to cosplay for the first time, tell us about some of these competitions. What are they like?
So competitions are a part of every Comic-Con, and I say Comic-Con as an umbrella term. There are science conventions, science fiction conventions, there are anime cons, there's all kinds of stuff. But at every convention, there's something called a cosplay contest, and that is where you get judged by a panel of judges, and you're up against other people, either in your skill level or genre of what you're wearing. So sometimes I compete in a needlework category because mainly I'm presenting a needlework costume versus something that's like heavily armored. Or I'll be in a master category because I've won several conventions. I've won several contests, and so I'm in that difficulty level. But these are a chance for you to get on a stage, usually in front of a very large audience, and judged and win or place or do whatever. But they're very highly attended shows at every convention, so you'll always see people, and that's kind of the basis of it. But there's two different types of contests. There's a masquerade, which is more of a skit based contest. So what the judges are judging you on is your presentation on stage, the craftsmanship of your outfit, and like a skit that you have. And that could either be dance, it could be singing, lip syncing, all kinds of stuff. Or there's the craftsmanship side, which is what I do. And that is heavily, almost 90%, 10% stage presence, but 90% how I made the thing I'm wearing. I get judged on how good it looks. Does it look, from the design to the execution? How does it fit on me? The mobile, like all kinds of stuff. But that's the type of convention or the competitions that I do, is the crafting side. And you get judged. You're up against people, and either the winner gets chosen at the end, and you walk home with either some cash, a real cool trophy, or bragging rights. It's exciting to me when I go to a convention and someone comes up and doesn't look at me in the face. They look at my outfit of what I'm wearing. Like, I like it when someone just stares at my shoulder because they're like, I know what you did on that shoulder. I want to take a look at that. And so I've had several different instances throughout conventions where that's happened. And also some of my favorite ones are the little kids, especially like, I wouldn't say like super like baby toddler, but like the young girls that are seeing this as something they want to do. And they see me as something they can work towards. Meeting those, I met one yesterday, and she was so sweet. She has some of my books, and she follows me on Instagram, but she's, I'd say maybe 12, maybe 11. And she just brought me her first outfit that she made, wanted to show me. And I was just like, I'm so happy you're doing this. I love those moments. This is when I can inspire someone to do something and they completed it and they get that feeling of completion and showing it off. That just happened yesterday. So it was great.
Be sure to listen to our full-length conversation with Jedi Manda on a future episode of So-and-So. While the exhibits, artists, vendors, celebrities, and costumes were certainly pervasive and mainstays of the event, it was truly more about inclusion, belonging, being who you are, and cosplaying who you dream of being. The respect, recognition, and acceptance we saw and experienced really set C2E2 apart as something magical. To a person, this wasn't lost.
It's an open community, or at least it should be, generally speaking. It's a very welcoming community. One thing to be aware of, though, is the phrase is cosplay is not consent. So if you see somebody out and you think their costume is awesome, go up, say hi, ask to take photos. Don't just assume you can take photos. Don't start treating them like the character that they're playing, because they're not. They're just normal people. One of the biggest things I can think of is individuals that dress up as Deadpool. Deadpool is a rather boisterous character, a rather flamboyant character. The people wearing the Deadpool costume aren't necessarily. So, what you could do if it was actually Deadpool there is not what you should be doing with the person that's there, if that makes sense.
I think my favorite part is just wandering around the dealer's hall and like making friends and talking to people and meeting a lot of like new communities. Definitely the people, I think, is my favorite thing about it. Like, especially if you have kind of a niche hobby, you will find other or like niche interests or like series that you're in the fandom of. generally speaking, you'll find people like that, especially if you cosplay them. Yesterday I was Elphaba from the musical Wicked, and so many people went up to me, they're like, I know you, and I was like, yes.
I love this community. It's so good. And I've, like I said, been in it for 10 years, and I have my best friends I've made through this community. It's very humbling. It's very heartwarming. It's really exciting because people are very open to make friends, and they're very open to talk about what they made. And that is a great gateway to make a friend. So if you can walk up to somebody and be like, I love your wig. Tell me how you styled that boo font, and they can talk about it with enthusiasm. Like, that is already an icebreaker, and you're already into that. And so that is a huge thing in our community. The fact that we all already have this shared knowledge and love of making cosplay and role playing or, recreating something on screen, that shared love is already existing. And that is really exciting because I don't feel like there's a lot of communities out there like that. And if they are, I don't know. This one's just really nice and I enjoy it. It's really sweet.
Thanks, Jedi Amanda. You summed it up perfectly. And that's it from C2E2 2023, a home for geeks, nerds, introverts, and all who want to fit in. It's a place to go to be you and to be among friends, old and new. Our thanks to all who gave us their time and shared their stories to make this episode possible. If you know someone you think has an outstanding story, a story that should be shared on this podcast, please drop me a note to meg@soandsopodcast.com or complete the form on our website. Be sure to subscribe to, review, and rate this podcast on your favorite platform, and visit our website, soandsopodcast.com, for more information about today's and all of our guests. That's SEWANDSO podcast.com. And finally, I want to thank Bernina for making this program possible. I'm Meg Goodman, and I look forward to you joining us next time on So and So.